Chapter 1. The Stillness of the River. The sun began its slow descent behind the western hills. The light softened from gold to a deep, warm orange. Long shadows stretched across the path, reaching like gentle fingers. The air grew cool and carried the damp, clean scent of the river. A fisherman sat on a smooth, worn rock by the water's edge. His name was Lao, which simply meant old, a name of respect and quiet endurance. His hands, rough and weathered from years of work, rested on his knees. His breathing was slow and deep, matching the gentle rhythm of the water. Before him, the river was wide and calm. It was not a blue river, but a river of many colors, a river of liquid jade and molten bronze, reflecting the evening sky in the shallows. The water was clear, revealing a bed of smooth, gray stones and patches of fine, golden sand further out. The deep currents held the dark, mysterious green of ancient pine forests. He watched the light play upon the surface. The last rays of the sun caught the tiny waves, making them sparkle like 1,000 scattered coins. It was a dance of light, a slow, shimmering dance. He watched the light, and his mind grew quiet. His thoughts slowed, like the settling of silt in still water. This was the Yangtze, the great river of China, Changjiang, the long river. It flowed for thousands of miles, from the snowy peaks of the Tanggula Mountains, all the way to the East China Sea. It was a river of life, a river of history. For 3,000 years, fishermen like Lao had watched its waters. They had cast their nets into its currents. They had built their homes on its banks. Along these banks, great poets of the Tang dynasty had written their verses. They had watched this very same light upon the water and written of sorrow and joy. And the passage of time, Li Bai Du Fu. Their words were like whispers on the breeze now, carried by the river's endless flow. Lao's eyes drifted to the reeds at the water's edge. They were tall and graceful, their green stalks tipped with feathery brown plumes. They swayed in a gentle, hypnotic rhythm, a soft rustle, a whisper, a lullaby from the earth among the reeds. He saw the delicate white flowers of the water snowdrop and the broad, flat leaves of the lotus, waiting for the night to close. A dragonfly, its body a brilliant, iridescent blue, landed on a reed stem near his hand. Its wings, like finely woven silk gauze, caught the light. They shimmered, a tiny, silent jewel. It rested there, perfectly still. Its presence was a small miracle of balance and peace. He listened to the sounds of the evening, the low, gurgling murmur of the river, the distant call of a water bird, a soft, lonely cry, the buzz of cicadas hidden in the trees, a steady, vibrating hum that seemed to come from the earth itself. These sounds did not disturb the silence. They were part of the silence. They were the music of the evening. The rock beneath him was warm from the long day of sun. He could feel its residual heat seeping into his body, a gentle, grounding warmth. The air was cool on his skin, but the rock was warm. It was a perfect balance, like the yin and yang of the world, the cool air, the warm stone. He watched a single leaf, a willow leaf, long and slender, fall from a branch above. It spiraled down, turning slowly in the air, a little green boat on a journey to the water. It landed on the surface without a sound and began its slow, drifting voyage downstream. He watched it until it disappeared around a bend in the river, carrying his thoughts with it. The sky was changing now. The orange faded to a soft lavender. The first star appeared, a single, bright pinprick in the vast, darkening expanse. It was the evening star, Hesperus, a lonely, beautiful light. The fisherman took a deep, slow breath. He filled his lungs with the cool, evening air. He could smell the water, the wet stone, the faint, sweet scent of lotus from further down the bank. He let the breath out slowly, feeling the tension in his shoulders melt away. His body felt heavy and calm, anchored to the warm rock. His mind was as still as the deep water in the center of the river. There were no worries here, no thoughts of tomorrow. There was only this moment, this peace, this gentle, fatting light. The river flowed on, forever and ever. It was a comforting thought. The river was always here, always flowing, always peaceful. You could let your thoughts drift away on its current. You could let everything go and just be here by the water. Your own breathing begins to slow, to match the rhythm of the river. You can feel the warmth of the sun-warmed stone beneath you. You can hear the soft lapping of the water, a gentle, repetitive sound. The light is fading now, from lavender to a deep, soft blue. The stars are beginning to twinkle, one by one. Your eyelids grow heavy, watching the dark water, and the night breeze hums softly through the reeds. You drift into a deep, restful sleep. Chapter 2. The Warmth of the Fire. A cool breeze drifted off the river. It rustled the leaves of the willow trees. It was a signal. The day was done. It was time to prepare the evening meal. Lau moved slowly, with a practiced, unhurried grace. He gathered a few dry branches from beneath a camphor tree. The wood was smooth and pale, and smelled faintly of spice. He arranged them in a small, neat pile on a circle of stones he had used 1,000 times before. From a leather pouch at his belt, he took a flint and a piece of iron. He struck them together. Once, twice, a spark flew, a tiny, bright star. It landed on a bundle of dry grass. A wisp of smoke curled up, thin and gray as a ghost. He leaned down and blew on it softly. His breath was gentle, a low, steady whisper. A small flame awoke. It was golden and orange. It flickered and danced, and began to consume the dry grass. It licked at the twigs, and then the branches. Soon, a small, warm fire was crackling cheerfully. The light from the flames pushed back the deepening twilight, creating a circle of warmth and safety. The fire popped and crackled, a soft, comforting sound. The scent of wood smoke filled the air, a primitive, soothing aroma. It was the scent of home, of food, of community. It was a scent known to every human for thousands of years. From his woven bamboo creel, he took the fish he had caught. It was a common carp, its scales a mosaic of bronze and dark gray, shimmering in the firelight. He held it firmly, its skin cool and slick against his warm, rough hands. He cleaned the fish with a smooth, black stone knife. His movements were efficient and respectful. He scraped away the scales. They flew off like tiny, iridescent coins. Catching the firelight as they scattered, he made a careful cut and removed the innards. He rinsed the cavity clean with water from the river in a small wooden ladle. He did not waste any part. The innards he would bury later to return to the earth, to nourish the soil. This was the way, the balance of taking and giving back. He seasoned the fish simply, with a few pinches of coarse salt from a bamboo tube and some dried ginger root. He sliced the ginger thinly, its sharp, citrusy scent mixed with the wood smoke, a clean, awakening fragrance. Then he took a few sprigs of fresh green scallion from a damp cloth. He chopped them finely, their bright, oniony aroma joining the symphony of scents. He wrapped the fish in large green lotus leaves. The leaves were broad and strong and smelled of rain and fresh vegetation. The wrapping was like a gift from the river, wrapped in a gift from the earth. He placed the leaf-wrapped parcel directly into the hot embers at the edge of the fire, not into the flames, but into the glowing, red heart of the coals. He sat back and watched the fire. The embers pulsed with a deep, red light, like a heartbeat. The flames danced above them, their movements unpredictable and beautiful. He watched the flames, and his mind was empty, full of only the light and the warmth. This was how people had cooked for millennia in these lands. The art of bao jiao yu, leaf-wrapped fish, was ancient. It steamed the fish in its own moisture, infused with the subtle, grassy flavor of the lotus leaf. It was a simple and perfect way to cook. The fire hissed softly as a drop of sap escaped from a pine branch. The night air was cool on his face, but the fire warmed the front of his body, a delightful contrast. He could feel the heat on his skin seeping into his muscles, relaxing him. He looked out at the river. It was dark now, a sheet of black silk. The surface reflected the flickering firelight and the pinpricks of the stars. The moon was rising, a slender silver crescent, hanging low in the sky. It cast a faint, silvery path across the water, a path that seemed to lead to another world. The only sounds were the crackle of the fire, the gurgle of the river, and the distant, rhythmic croaking of frogs. It was a night song, a lullaby for the world. A scent began to rise from the fire. It was the scent of cooking fish, but transformed. It was mingled with the earthy perfume of the steaming lotus leaf. It was a rich, savory, and deeply comforting aroma. It smelled of nourishment and peace. After a time, he used 2 sticks to carefully roll the parcel from the embers. The outer leaves were charred and blackened. He unwrapped them slowly. A puff of fragrant steam rose into the cool night air. The inner leaf was still bright green, and inside, the flesh of the fish was pure white, flaky and tender. He ate slowly with his fingers, savoring each simple, perfect bite. The fish was moist and flavorful. The ginger and scallion were a gentle note, a whisper of spice. It was the taste of the river and the earth and the fire. It was everything he needed. The warmth of the food spread through his body, from his stomach out to his fingers and toes. It was a deep, satisfying warmth. He felt content and full and deeply peaceful. You can feel the warmth of the fire on your own skin. You can smell the clean scent of wood smoke and the savory aroma of steamed fish and lotus. The crackle of the fire is a soft, popping rhythm. The world is dark and safe, held in this circle of warm light. Your body feels heavy and nourished. Your breathing is slow and deep. The firelight dances behind your closed eyelids, a gentle orange glow. The sounds of the night are a soft blanket around you. Your eyelids grow heavy by the warm fire, and the night breeze carries the scent of lotus over the water. You drift into a deep, restful sleep. Chapter 3: The Journey Home. The fire had burned down to a bed of glowing, ruby-red embers. They pulsed softly, like a sleeping heart. Lao scattered the coals with a stick and poured water from the river over them. A great hiss of steam rose into the air, a final, whispering breath. The scent of wet ash, clean and smoky, lingered for a moment and then faded. It was time to go home. He gathered his things. His fishing net was folded with care. His creel was empty now, save for a few small fish for the cat. He slung his bamboo pole over his shoulder. Its familiar weight was a comfort. He began to walk along the narrow, packed earth path that followed the riverbank. The path was well worn, smoothed by countless footsteps over countless years. His own feet knew every stone, every root. The moon, though just a sliver, gave enough light to see by. It was a silvery, dreamlike light that turned the world into a painting of shadows and soft gleams. As he walked, he was not alone. Other dark shapes moved along other paths, converging from smaller streams and hidden inlets. They were other fishermen, returning to the same village. He could hear the soft scuff of their sandals on the path, the quiet jingle of their gear. A low voice would call out a greeting, Lao, and he would answer with a soft hum of acknowledgement. There were no long conversations, only the quiet comfort of shared presence, of a shared life. They walked together, a silent procession in the moonlight. Their silhouettes were dark against the shimmering river. The stars were brilliant now. The Milky Way, a vast, misty river flowing across the sky, mirroring the river on Earth. Soon, the warm, yellow glow of oil lamps appeared in the distance. They were the lights of the village. The village was a cluster of simple, whitewashed houses with sweeping gray-tiled roofs. The roofs curved upwards at the edges, like the wings of a resting bird. They were designed to channel rainwater and to welcome good fortune. He could hear new sounds now, the happy, high-pitched shouts of children, the gentle lowing of a water buffalo settled in for the night, the faint, melodic strumming of a pipa from someone's home. He reached his own house. It was small and sturdy, built of rammed earth and timber. The paper panels in the latticework windows glowed softly from the lamp within. He slid the wooden door open. It made a soft, scraping sound. A wave of warmth and familiar scent washed over him. The scent of dried herbs hanging from the rafters, chrysanthemum and mugwort. The scent of clean straw mats, and the faint, ever-present smell of the river. His two children looked up from where they were playing on the floor. Their faces broke into wide, joyful smiles. Baba. Baba is home. His little daughter, May, whose name meant beautiful, ran to him and wrapped her small arms around his legs. His son, Jayan, whose name meant strong, stood up a little more formally, but his eyes shone with happiness. He set his gear down in its proper place by the door. He hung his wide-brimmed rain hat on a peg. He took off his outer coat. Then he knelt down and opened his arms. The children rushed into his embrace. He could feel their small, warm bodies, full of life and energy. He breathed in the sweet, clean scent of their hair. They chattered excitedly, telling him about their day, about the boat they had built from a piece of bark, about the cricket they had found in the garden. He listened, his heart full. This was the true treasure, the treasure that the river provided, this warmth, this love. He reached into his creel and brought out the two small silver fish he had saved. The children's eyes widened. These were for their cat, a sleek orange creature who was now weaving figure eights around Lau's ankles, purring loudly. The ritual of the fish for the cat was a beloved part of the evening. For a little while, he sat with them on the floor. He helped Jayan fit two pieces of wood together for his toy boat. He listened as May told a long, winding story about her doll. The oil lamp flickered, casting their dancing shadows on the wall. The world outside, with its cool air and dark river, seemed very far away. Here inside was a different kind of warmth, not the fierce, crackling warmth of the fire, but the soft, steady warmth of family. It filled the room. It filled his heart. You can feel the warmth of the family home. You can see the soft, golden glow of the oil lamp. You can hear the happy, muffled sounds of children's laughter and the comforting purr of a cat. The day's work is done. The journey home is over. There is only peace and safety and love. Your body feels heavy and content. Your breathing is slow, and even the joyful sounds of family fade into a soft, comforting hum. Your eyelids grow heavy in the warm, lamplit room, and the night breeze whispers softly against the paper window. You drift into a deep, restful sleep. Chapter 4. The Mending of the Net. The children were asleep now, tucked into their beds on warm Kang, a heated sleeping platform. Their breathing was soft, and even little puffs of air in the quiet room. The orange cat was curled into a tight, furry ball at the foot of their bed, fast asleep. Its purring had settled into a silent, vibrating contentment. Lao's wife, Li, was mending a tunic by the light of the single oil lamp. Her needle moved in and out of the fabric, a tiny, flashing silver fish. Her movements were rhythmic and calm. Lao sat cross-legged on a mat on the floor. Before him lay his fishing net. It was a wide, woven web of sturdy hemp cord. It smelled of the river, of water weeds, and clean, wet fiber. He had unrolled it across the smooth, packed earth floor. His hands moved over the net with a gentle, searching touch. His fingers, wise and sensitive, traced the lines of the weave. He was looking for weak spots, for small tears, for strands worn thin by the constant pull of the current and the weight of the fish. This was not a chore. It was a ritual, a meditation. He found a small hole, no bigger than his thumb, where the cord had frayed and snapped from a small wooden box. He took a length of new hemp cord and a slender, polished bone needle. He worked slowly, deliberately. His fingers looped and pulled it tied and secured. The rhythm of his work was steady and soothing. Loop, pull, tie. His breath matched the rhythm. In and out. Loop, pull, tie. This net was his livelihood. It was his connection to the river. Mending, it was an act of respect. It was a way of ensuring tomorrow's catch. It was a way of honoring the fish and the water. The net itself was a beautiful object, a vast, geometric web. Each knot was a small, precise thing, a testament to patience and skill. The people of China had been weaving and casting such nets for centuries. They were depicted in ancient paintings, on Neolithic pottery. The design was timeless, perfect in its function. The light from the oil lamp was warm and golden. It illuminated his hands, and the intricate web of the net, it cast deep, dancing shadows in the corners of the room. The only sounds were the soft rustle of the netting, the gentle pull of the cord, and the occasional pop from the lamp's wick. His mind was quiet, focused only on the task at hand. There was no past, no future. There was only this net, this cord, this needle, and the gentle movement of his hands. He thought of the river. He thought of the way the net would billow out when he cast it, like a dark cloud settling on the water. He thought of the satisfying weight of a good catch, the silvery flash of scales in the morning sun. His wife looked up from her sewing and smiled a soft, quiet smile. She saw his concentration, his peace. This was part of their life, this quiet companionship in the evening, each tending to their tasks, building and mending their world together. He finished mending the small hole. His fingers tested the new knots. They were strong and secure. He moved on his hands, continuing their slow, methodical journey across the net. There was another small, weak spot, and another. He tended to them all with the same care, the same patience. The night was deep and still outside. The village was asleep. The river flowed on in darkness. His work was a small, quiet point of light and purpose in the vast, sleeping world. You can see the golden light of the lamp falling on the woven net. You can hear the soft, rhythmic sounds of the work, the rustle, the pull, the tie. It is a slow, steady rhythm, a heartbeat of domestic peace. There is no hurry. There is only the gentle, repetitive motion. Your own body feels still and calm. Your muscles are relaxed. Your mind is focused on the simple, rhythmic task. The world narrows to this moment, this peace. Your eyelids grow heavy, watching the mending of the net. And the night breeze carries the scent of hemp and river water. You drift into a deep, restful sleep. Chapter 5. The Dream of the Moonlit Lake. The mending was done. The net was rolled into a tight, neat bundle, ready for the morning. The oil lamp was turned down low, until only a faint, orange ember glowed at its heart. Lau lay down on the warm kang next to his sleeping wife. The heated bricks beneath the platform radiated a gentle, soothing warmth. It seeped into his bones, easing the last remnants of the day's chill. He pulled the cotton quilt up to his chin. It was heavy and comforting. He closed his eyes. His breathing slowed, becoming deep and regular. The day was over. His body was tired. His mind was quiet. He drifted into the soft, welcoming arms of sleep, and he began to dream. In his dream, he was not on the river, but on a vast, still lake. The water was as smooth as a sheet of dark, polished jade. It was perfectly clear. He could see deep, deep down into the water. The moon was full and brilliant white. It hung directly overhead, casting a radiant, silvery light over everything. The lake, the sky, everything was bathed in this magical, moonlit glow. The stars were not visible, outshone by the magnificent moon. He was in a small boat, but it was not his own rough fishing boat. It was a delicate craft made of polished dark wood and woven reed. It was silent. It made no sound as it drifted over the water. He looked down into the depths. The water was teeming with life. He saw forests of aquatic plants, their long green strands waving slowly in unseen currents. They were Vallisneria eelgrass, known in China as Kuishao cow. They swayed back and forth, a slow underwater dance. And among the plants, he saw them. They were the water nymphs, the river spirits. Some might call them mermaids. But these were not the mermaids of Western tales. They were the Jaya-Orin, the creatures of Chinese legend. They were beautiful and serene. Their upper bodies were like those of graceful women, with long, flowing hair the color of ink or deepest night. Their skin had a faint, pearlescent sheen, like the inside of a freshwater mussel shell. Where legs would be, they had long, powerful tails, not of scales, but of smooth, shimmering skin in colors of silver and pale jade and soft rose. Their tails moved with a gentle, undulating motion, keeping them suspended in the water. They did not speak, but communicated with soft, melodic humming, a sound that vibrated through the water and the air. It was a sound of pure peace, a lullaby from the heart of the world. One of them swam closer to his boat. She looked up at him with eyes that held the deep, ancient calm of the lake itself in her hands. She held a length of silk, a fabric that shimmered with all the colors of the moon on water. She was weaving it, her fingers moving with an impossible, fluid grace. This was from the old stories. The Jaya-Orin were weavers. They wept tears that turned into pearls, and they wove a magical cloth called Jiaxio, a cloth that was lighter than air and impervious to water. She hummed her soft, wordless song and offered him the cloth. It was a gift of peace and protection from the spirits of the water. He reached out to take it, and as his fingers touched the silken fabric, he felt a profound calm wash over him. It was the calm of the deep water, the calm of the moon, the calm of a world without time or worry. Other Jaya-Orin gathered. They circled his boat, their gentle humming creating a chorus of tranquility. They did not look at him with curiosity or fear, but with a deep, knowing acceptance. He was a child of the water, as they were, a part of the great, flowing life of the world. They began to swim, and his boat drifted with them, gliding soundlessly over the moonlit lake. There was no destination. The journey itself was the purpose, the gentle, peaceful, endless drifting. The water was so clear. He could see to the very bottom of the lake. He saw smooth, white stones and sleeping fish and forests of swaying plants. It was a world of perfect order and perfect beauty, a world untouched by hurry or care. You are in the boat, drifting on the moonlit lake. You can feel the profound silence, broken only by the soft, humming chorus of the Jaya-Orin. You can see their shimmering forms moving gracefully through the dark, clear water. The moon bathes everything in its soft, silver light. There is no fear, only wonder, and a deep, deep peace. The silken cloth is in your hands, light as a whisper, soft as a cloud. It fills you with a sense of safety and belonging. Your eyelids are heavy in the moonlit dream, and the humming of the water spirits is a soft vibration in your soul. You drift into a deeper, restful sleep. Chapter 6: The Weaver and the Pearl. The dream continued, a deep, flowing river of images and sensations. The Jaiaoran with the silk continued her weaving. Her loom was made of water and light. The threads were strands of moonlight, and the silver bubbles from a fish's mouth. She wove patterns of lotus flowers and curling waves, and the graceful characters for longevity and peace. Her song was not a song of words, but a song of feeling. It was a feeling of fluidity, of letting go, of allowing the current to carry you. It was the feeling of a leaf drifting on the water. It was the feeling of trust in the river, in the night, in the cycle of all things. Another Jaiaoran swam closer. She held a giant freshwater mussel shell in her hands. The shell was opened, and inside, nestled in soft, living tissue, was a pearl. It was not a perfectly round pearl, but a baroque pearl, its shape like a teardrop. Its color was a soft, milky white, with flashes of lavender and pale green. The colors of the dawn sky reflected on a calm sea. She hummed a different melody, a melody of gentle sorrow and beautiful transformation. For the pearl is born from a grain of sand, a tiny irritation, a piece of grit that finds its way into the shell, and the mussel, to protect itself, covers that irritation with layer upon layer of nacre, a smooth, luminous substance. Over time, the irritation is transformed into something rare and beautiful. The pearl is a lesson. It is a lesson about patience. It is a lesson about how discomfort can be transformed into beauty. It is a lesson about the hidden treasures that can be found in life's challenges. The Jaiaoran offered him the pearl. He took it, and it was cool and smooth in his palm. It seemed to hold the very light of the moon within it. As he held it, he felt a release, a letting go of any small irritations from his own day. They were just grains of sand, and he could smooth them over with layers of peace and acceptance. The Jaiaoran smiled, a slow, serene smile, and then she turned and dove deep into the dark water, the pearls light fading as she descended, until it was just a tiny, vanishing star in the depths. His boat continued to drift. The water around him began to change. Tiny, phosphorescent creatures sparkled in the water like submerged stars. They swirled around the boat, leaving trails of soft, blue-green light. It was a celestial dance, happening just below the surface. The Jaiaoran swam through these lights, their tails leaving shimmering arcs in the water. They were painting with light, creating temporary constellations that glowed and faded and were born again. The humming continued. It was the soundtrack of the dream. It wove everything together: the water, the light, the boat, the dreamer. It was all one, a single, peaceful, harmonious whole. There was no separation between him and the water, between him and the moon, between him and the dreaming spirits. He was part of the lake, and the lake was part of him. You are holding the cool, smooth pearl. You feel its tranquil energy flowing into your hand, up your arm, and throughout your entire body. It is a feeling of deep acceptance. You accept the flow of the water. You accept the peace of the night. You accept the gentle drift of the dream. The phosphorescent lights swirl around you. A silent, underwater fireworks display. The humming of the Gyoran vibrates in the air. A soothing, resonant frequency. Your body feels weightless, floating on the water, floating in the dream. There is no effort here, only being. Your eyelids are heavy in the phosphorescent dream, and the humming weaves a blanket of silence around you. You drift into a deeper, restful sleep. Chapter 7. The Return to the River. All dreams must change, must flow, like a river finding its way to the sea. The vast, moonlit lake began to gently narrow. The shores drew closer. The water began to move with a soft current. The still lake was becoming a river once more. The Gyorans slowed their swimming. They gathered at the bow of his little boat. Their luminous forms bobbed gently in the water. They looked at him with their deep, knowing eyes. Their humming softened, becoming a farewell, a blessing. One by one, they dipped below the surface. Their shimmering tails were the last to disappear, leaving only expanding rings on the water, which slowly, slowly smoothed away. The last to leave was the weaver. She held up her hand in a gesture of peace, and then she sank backwards into the dark water. Her ink-black hair fanned out around her for a moment, like a flower closing for the night. And then she was gone. The boat was alone again, drifting on the current. The phosphorescent lights faded. The water returned to its dark, jade green. The full moon began to wane in the dream sky, shrinking back to a silver crescent. The river in his dream was familiar now. It was his river, the long river. He could see the dark shapes of the willow trees on the banks. He could hear the familiar sound of the water gurgling over stones. The dream was gently releasing him. It was carrying him back from the realm of magic and spirit, back to the realm of earth and water, back to his own quiet life. The boat drifted around a bend, and there was his village, sleeping under the stars. The houses were dark and silent. The gray-tiled roofs were silvered by the starlight. The boat slid silently onto the shore, right at his usual spot. By the smooth, worn rock, he stepped out, and his feet felt the solid, comforting earth of the riverbank. He turned to look at the boat, but it was already drifting away, dissolving into the morning mist that was beginning to rise from the water. It had been a dream boat, and it was returning to the world of dreams. He stood for a moment, breathing in the cool, pre-dawn air. He could smell the wet earth, the reeds, the familiar scent of home. The dream was fading. But the feeling remained, a feeling of profound peace and connection and wonder. He knew the Jaya-Orin were still there, not in the river, but in the spirit of the river, in the flow of the water, in the shimmer of the moonlight on the waves. They were a part of it all, and so was he. He turned his back to the river and began to walk up the path toward his home. The dream was over, but its gift remained. You are walking up the path from the river. The dream is fading like a soft mist. But the feeling of the silken cloth, the coolness of the pearl, the sound of the humming, these feelings stay with you. They are woven into your heart. The solid ground is beneath your feet. The air is cool and fresh. The world is quiet and still, waiting for the dawn. Your body feels heavy and real and deeply relaxed. The journey is over. You are home. Your eyelids grow heavy, walking up the familiar path, and the night breeze carries the scent of damp earth and dreams. You drift into a deep, restful sleep.